Right. Happy Friday. It's September 19th. I'll do a quick little intro to some things on the site here, the Vital Mastery community. And then I think just Linda's in here now. Anybody else jumps in, we can jump into some questions. And if not, I'll just send out the recording of kind of what's new on the Vital Mastery community. So just sent this out. My wife Lillie was on an interview 2 weeks ago, maybe, and we talked about somatic story work, and had some great conversation. For those of you who didn't see it, I think it was an hour long, so we went a little bit longer than normal. And I'm going to try to have her back on to kind of piggyback onto some of the topics because the topics were good, but they're big. And so they're probably new to some people. And so I want to kind of dive into some of those areas with her again in the future. So I'm going to try to get her back on. But she also made a couple resources and wanted to share these. And so I was going to share them. They're in the Vital Mastery community on the community page. I'm also going to put them under the kind of the resource section, the classroom section. But one of them is kind of a mapping process. And these will make a lot more sense if you do go back and listen to the interview she had. But it's trying story work. What she does and what she's really gifted at is digging into helping people kind of get into their story and find some core beliefs that have been formed over the years and narratives, and bringing them to the surface so that we can a lot of times rewrite the script. That a lot of the scripts that we live out of, inner critic voices, things that we may not be saying out loud, but we might be saying internally, are just um, they're holding us back from being who God created us to be. So, I mean, you can look here at these first few and just see if any of these resonates. Um, I'm not lovable. I will be left. I'm powerless. I'm not enough. Um, if any of that kind of is behind the scenes, if any of those kind of like, if any of that does something internally, when you hear that, I go, "Ooh, I feel that." Um, then this is an area you want to lean into because it will change the way that we show up. It'll change the way that we live. It'll limit the fullness of who God created us to be in this world and how we view Him as well. So there's so many things here, but Lily's really good at this, and especially when it comes to try to find where these things live in the body. So kind of that she calls it the somatic location. Um, and so anyway, get a chance if you get a chance, kind of reflect on some of this. The other resource that she put up was um, it helps to have examples sometimes of to hear it. Um, to hear it said out loud sometimes helps it resonate like, oh, I didn't know that I believed that until I heard it and go, yeah, that's exactly how I view myself at times. And maybe it's not all the time. Maybe it's when we make a mistake or fall down, then we might go into some of these statements, these negative beliefs. And so anyway, might be worth looking through those, print these starring ones that you might want to lean into a little bit and um, try to uproot and bring them before God and try to figure out where they came from. Um, yeah, these are all really good ones to kind of try to identify. I cannot trust anyone. I can't trust myself. Like that's a big one that if we can't trust ourselves, we disconnect from ourselves. So we literally live disconnected lives from that one. If that one statement resonates at all in our lives, then we will be disconnected from what the God-given intuition and God-given things that are inside of us. So, uh, power, control, betrayal is a big one. Anytime there's been any abandonment, um, emotional, physical abandonment in our past, that sometimes can be a very strong core statement um, that we kind of dig into, or that we live out of. And um, so yeah, these are all ones you can kind of look into and then look at some of the vows that stem from these core statements, or these core beliefs. And so these vows can also be not only unhelpful, but very they can be sometimes they can be agreements with the enemy as well, and they can link us up with darkness that we don't want to link up to. So um, yeah, this is super helpful. I'm excited to kind of go through these and highlight the ones that resonate the most with me as well. So those are there. Um, some emotions for story work mapping. What I'll probably have her do when she comes back on is maybe even walk us through how someone might want to use these two documents best and what it might look like. And I've put it in the message here, but and I'll link it again. But she also just opened up the doors to this redemptive motherhood community. Um, and I think it's a really sacred space that those of you that might be interested in this and kind of healing some wounds, identifying some of the core wounds, some of these negative beliefs, vows, and emotions, and in a safe space. And so um, I was in the group until she opened it up because she kicked me out because it's not for me, it's for women. But the Redemptive Mother community is pretty awesome, and the resources she's been making for that, even some of the guided meditations, are just incredibly powerful. So it's a gift for her. But you can reach out to her, ask her more about it. Again, let me see. I think she might have put it in here, but I don't think it notifies everyone when someone comments unless they like link their name. And so if you get a chance, yeah, here it is. So you can look at her Redemptive Motherhood community and kind of read a little bit more about it here if you want to. But she's doing some really cool stuff um, and these seasonal guides that she's creating from um, recipes. I mean, all kind of cool stuff. Soul practices, blessing the children. So the fall guide is up and ready, um, which is beautiful. I wish I could show you that, but it's behind the it's behind the door of her um, thing right now, which I can't get back in. But you can see a little bit about the community here and read a little bit about it. And I think she's got some pretty cool information as far as what is inside. So anyway, that's there. And then let me go back to um, the other resources that I have recently uploaded. So if you go under Classroom and you go to PDFs and protocols, this is a new one for a couple patients that are on Keppra um, for seizures. Kepra's works, but it also has there's some concerns around Keppra. Any medication that has a powerful mechanism of action typically has a pretty notable potential side effect profile. So this is one that um, may not be relevant for a lot of people, but for those who it is, it's good to kind of be aware of. It can affect the neurotransmitters, and so you have while it might be helping prevent seizure activity, you might be having a whole lot of mood fluctuations and anger outbursts and rage. And so anyway, this is kind of talk about the mechanisms that make someone more susceptible to having an issue with that, and then some supplement considerations that can kind of help. Um, so testing to consider adults and kids, organic acid testing to kind of look at some of the susceptibility. And then I'll probably update this because I was talking to one of the patients, and I probably will add, while this is good, sometimes looking deeper at the toxic burden might be the culprit behind the seizures as well. So that would make the body very susceptible to going into seizure activity if the toxic burden is really high and they're already susceptible to seizures genetically. So while this is good too, I think even mycotoxins and environmental toxins and maybe heavy metals might be worth looking at for that too. So, but that's in here under the AI assisted protocols. I'll add the emotional health resources. I'll add the ones that Lillie recently sent over to that section as well. So if you're looking for it in the future, you can search. I just started using the search and realizing it's better than I thought the search engine is better than I thought it was. Um, so if you just type in story, um, it's going to pull up um, a lot of different things. This is going to be from the classroom, anything that talked about story from the classroom, but you can also go over to community, and anything that referenced story work will also pop up there. If there's a member whose name is Story, it'll pop up there too. So you would just have to toggle to the other section to see, or if I wanted to put seizure, you go over here. Nothing will show up in community, but if you go over to classroom, you'll see that protocol that I was just made. So use that search engine to kind of help find things that you need to. See what kind of pops up. Yeah. So acne, it'll pop up in the classroom section here. Type in ear, then you'll see the ear infection protocol. Um, yeah. So use that. But if you search within the like if you search from this section and you type in, if I could spell, if you search ear, nothing's going to pop up. Say zero, but you have to toggle over here to the classroom for it to pop up. So just FYI, that's the only thing with the search engine that I think that's why I was searching for things and it was saying nothing, but it's because I wasn't in the section that was showing up. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. And then last thing to show you, and then we can discuss whatever, um, is in the classroom. I've kind of been slowly working on this Calm Core breathwork journey. It's up, but I have like one or two more modules to finish up here. And so if breath work is new to you and you kind of want to start knowing what kind of practices are available, this will be good because there's just lots of different ones that are out there. And if you want to kind of know, like work through this, if you kind of want to get an idea of why breath work is so potentially powerful. Sarah's not in here today on the live call, but Sarah's on a really cool breath work journey. And so, but the types of breath practices are there. And then what I'm working on, my module 5 that I'm working on now is I'm going to try to record some guided sessions so that you can kind of like experiment with them and feel them. And, you know, each person may feel a certain breath practice is better for them. And so, and maybe even a combination of things. I might do one. The one I was thinking about doing was kind of combining a few of them into like one session where we start with one and we flow into a different type of breath practice, and then maybe even one more, and then finish up with like a breath prayer or something like that at the end. So um, anyway, I've got those. That's being built out, but it's in there now, so you can work through the first 4 modules. But module 5 is going to take me more time just because I'm going to be recording those um, audio guided sessions of the breath work too. So and then yeah, and then I haven't published this one yet, but this cleaning up our anger is one that I was really leaning into last night and trying to filter this topic through kind of a biblical lens of what it looks like, what unhealthy anger looks like, and then what healthy anger looks like, and this idea of shadow anger versus clean anger or righteous anger, as Jesus called it, um, or when he told us to kind of be angry but do not sin. And so I'm really leaning into this, kind of trying to map out my shadow anger, which is an interesting one. Where does anger show up in an unhealthy way in my life? And how does it negatively impact myself or those that I love? And so anyway, I'm super excited about this too. I haven't published this one on there, but this will be up soon as well. So all right, I've talked enough. Um, yeah, I'll open it up. Any discussion topics y'all want to bring to the table? Lab questions? Need help ordering labs? Need help interpreting labs? Supplement questions? Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of give a little update on some of the things in the community, but I'd love to hear from you guys now if anybody's got anything. And while you are thinking of some things you might want to talk about, I'm gonna double check. Justin, I was gonna see if I had anything in here on conjunctivitis, pink eye. Um, because I'm not, I need to
Yeah,
add
that'd
it.
be great.
Yeah, I have one in that I haven't, I don't think I've pulled it into the new community yet, but conjunctivitis is usually viral when it starts, but it can turn bacterial, and so the good treatments kind of cover both. And so I'll find that. But what I sent you over yesterday is a good place to start with. Colloidal silver, you can kind of clean the area. You can even put colloidal silver in. It will burn a little bit. So um, there's that, but it is good for knocking out viral bacterial components of pink eye. And then heparin sulf typically the homeopathic remedy used for pink eye. We'd use it orally, and then
So the drops in the eye,
you
like the
can,
colloidal silver. Okay.
yeah, you can do them in the eye. And if you don't want to, if you don't want to hear him scream, you could just put it on a Q-tip and kind of go around the eye. There'll be enough that kind of gets into the eye, absorb secondary. It won't go directly in, but even if you just clean it or or just a cotton piece of cotton ball, and you kind of clean around the eye, because that pink eye, it's just super easy to pass it on as well, and for it to be, it's just yeah, super contagious. So if you're cleaning that several times a day, that would typically be really helpful alongside the Heat Soul.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for jumping in today. Um, Heather's got a question over here in the chat. Suggestions for pots outside the basic stuff like hydration, salt, electrolytes, potassium. Um, yeah, good question, Heather. Um, Homeopathy for pots is really interesting. And who was just telling me? I'll find this for you, Heather. But there is a homeopath that's focus is pots. That's her main focus. And so she's a recent patient that's been battling with some of these symptoms for a long time. Um, Saw her, got one remedy that notably shifted almost all of her symptoms. And so I forget which remedy it was, but it may not be the same remedy from person to person because I think this is a more of a classical homeopath. And so they're going to take their full history and offer one homeopathic remedy based on constitution and all the different things that they do. But um, but I'm curious. I need to look back at what that was because I bet curious if it's the same remedy that like the Banerjee doctors in Calcutta, India recommend for POTS as well. So I'll do a little digging on that. Make myself a note. It's on the tip of my mind who it was, but yeah, but that's all the baseline stuff that you mentioned is like salt being the biggest one typically is for POTS symptoms. But there was a homeopathic remedy that did something really impressive recently, and I was as blown away. Oh, I know who it was. Let me write it down so I could check on that. Uh, and I'll get back to you on that for sure. Actually, you know what? I can look at this other side of the screen that I'm not sharing and not share her information. See if I can find that real quick. I'm glad the heart. You said this with your son. The heart is checking out good, which is super important. Give me just a second. I'll tell you which remedy it was for this patient. I think I even wrote down the name of the homeopath. Sulfur. So sulfur. I didn't write down if it was what dose or what strength. It was 30C or 200. Um, so yeah, look up. Let me find this homeopath information. I think I wrote it down this last. No, but I'll get it. I'll ask her today and get this information because it's super fascinating how much she said um, she was battling with nausea all the time, and the nausea was 100% gone after like the first or second day of treatment with the sulfur. So super interesting. Um, and her heart stopped racing, skipping beats, stomach pain improved. Oh, here it is. Paula Webb, Helix Homeopathy. Let me see if I can pull up her website and I'll just put this in the chat and share it in the group. Um, is she in London? Thought I saw one somewhere. Maybe this is her. Yeah, perfect. I'll send you this through the chat, Heather. Um, yeah, London clinic, super cool. So I'm guessing she's not giving everybody sulfur. But maybe that'd be one that would be worth trying. Um, I'm I'm a fan of classical homeopathy. It's just cumbersome, and I'm not a homeopath, so I can't. Um, the what goes into kind of offering one remedy is challenging. So I've leaned towards Dr. Joe Calabrese's kind of approach and the Banerjee doctors in Calcutta, where they've kind of made them into more of like protocols, first line, second line, third line. So first line typically works for like the majority of people, vast majority of people, like 80 to 90% of people respond to first line treatments and the Banerjees, and then it kind of drops. If it doesn't work, first line doesn't work, then they kind of run people through the second line treatment, and then third line is kind of the last option. Um, but I have that book on my shelf. I just need to find it. And I have a document where I've written down most of the protocols. So I'll look for that as well, Heather. But great question on that one, because that's a good topic, big topic, and there's a lot of people that battle with POTS symptoms. So yeah, I'll send that to the Battle Mastery community as well. Anybody has anything else to talk about that? I can do this later, but okay. Um, and if there's no big topics, we can close up. But any prayer requests, any concerns that we can be lifting up as a community that I could either just talk about here or I could share in the group as well. I have one for Lillie while we're on the topic, but Lily's back is up and down. She had the surgery I shared a while back, and she was immediately in drastically less pain, but then she's had pain creep back in. Um, Different, a little bit different, but similar. And she's now working with functional patterns, which I'm very hopeful about the way that they work with the body and structurally. And she's already become aware that she's been lacking support and structure throughout like core and SI joint probably most of her life. So there's awareness around where this all came from decades past. But now moving the dial and getting things back healthy while still in a lot of pain is the biggest challenge right now because she just can't do a lot of the things that would probably be helpful for her journey. So if y'all would continue praying for Lillie and her health journey, her back, and just how that affects, mental health and struggles. I mean, I'm gonna take the kids on a hike today, and she just can't do those things right now. So it's hard. There's some grief there. Absolutely, Heather. We'll pray that your husband and his eyes would be open to um, who God is and how much God loves him. And I love that. I love that prayer request. So absolutely. And I pray that same thing over my kids. I don't know exactly where they are in their spiritual journey, but praying that they meet the Lord as well. So Anything else? If not, I'll wrap us up in prayer. I'll wait just a second, see if anybody else wants to throw a prayer request in the chat or say anything out loud. And while Lisa, Lily is she saw that was a great question on the messenger about um, tongue ties and lip tie releases and just kind of like neurologically nervous system, what things get stored in the body. I'd be really curious her thoughts, kind of pondering that topic. That's so good. And my first thought would be that because we're all going to have degrees of traumatic experiences and pain in our lives, but what typically makes them not get stored is them being witnessed and being attuned to and having the space to kind of process it. So I think the space that you guys create, and I'll be really curious what Lily says on this, but the space that you guys create on the other side of any painful, traumatic experience, not just you, for our kids, is really the key that teaches them how to attune to themselves. You know, if somebody grows up with a parent, well-intentioned parent that's trying to maybe toughen up the kids, that's constantly saying, you're okay, you're fine, then that's going to be their voice to themselves one day. And in some situations that might serve them well. They got to get up and finish something and they can't stay down or necessarily be in a hurt space. But in general, a lot of times kids aren't fine. They're hurt. And sometimes they may not be physically damaged, but they're hurt even if they're just scared. And so telling a kid that you're fine, when their reality inside is I'm not fine, I'm hurting and I'm scared, then there's a confusion that happens there. And then that's when those kind of things are, that's when things will get stored in the body. So if on the other side of this, and even as they get older, because obviously as a baby, they can only voice so much with a lip tie and tongue tie. But even just the presence and uh, even if they don't fully understand the human language yet, they know a comforting voice and a comforting presence and an attuned presence, what that feels like in their life. So, even just holding and I got you. And, but yeah, as they get older, my oldest at 11, we've had to apologize to her a couple of times and try to take her back a little bit in her mind about some ways that we bypassed her fear and try to kind of help heal some attachment wounds that we created when she was really little, trying to force her to go to the nursery or different places she didn't want to go, um, and just what we know that likely did internally. So then trying to kind of repair that wound, and tell her that we're sorry and that we're here, and we thought we were doing a good thing, but we probably weren't making the best decision at that time. So yeah, I'll see if I can ping Lily to ask her to talk on that a little bit more. So yeah, I love that. You're safe. Yeah, instead of you're okay, you're safe, and I got you. I'm here with you. My kids, when we're trying to bypass their pain, um, the whole even if we know they're not really hurt badly, they're just feelings are hurt or whatever, like or it scared them, then they stay in that space a lot longer when they don't feel witnessed by us. When we pause and just get down with them and hold them and say, I'm here, I got you, it passes so quick. That's all they needed most of the time. And sometimes they're really hurt. They need to see a doctor. But most of the time, what they want is what you just said. You're safe. I'm here. Um, so so keep that focus with the kids. That's huge, and that's their inner voice. That will be their inner voice as they get older. A lot of times is what we speak over them, and so you're strong. All those things. You're not alone. So I love that y'all do that. Awesome. Well, let's wrap up. I'll pray. Anything else that comes up along the way, y'all can always throw a prayer request in the Bible Mastery group or shoot it over in any way you want to. So, but we'll take a moment to pray. So let me wrap this up. Sorry about my hat here. Lord, thank you for this day. sorry that I rushed into our group call today and didn't pause and just submit this time to you, but I pray that you're glorified with our time today and that you continue to help us just grow into who you've created us to be as sons and daughters of a king who loves us deeply, of a father who wants more and more of our hearts and wants us to crawl up in his lap and be held. And so, Lord, I just pray specifically over all of our family members who we love that we aren't sure if they know you or not. We ask for your spirit to go and pursue their hearts, to draw them, and to put moments and people into their lives that will that will woo them and draw them to you. So even a sunset, help them to pause and look at a sunset, to look out at the trees and the birds, and just something be moved inside them. So specifically, I pray over Heather's husband that he would come to know you and find his deepest purpose in you, since you know him more than anyone else and you know who you created him to be. Um, Also pray over my children and their hearts and all the children that we have as well. Just that you would draw each one of them, that they would see um, their heavenly Father, that they would see that they are deeply and wonderfully made and delighted in, and that they would also be drawn to you, and they would be able to see with spiritual eyes the light from the darkness in this world. So we pray for all those as well that are hurting and processing just Charlie Kirk's death and just such a public figure um, being murdered that way. Pray that the words that he spoke out of love, the call to people going deeper with themselves and with Sabbath, and just all the ways that he lovingly confronted challenging topics and conversations would continue to resonate with those that appreciated his message. And so would you be with his wife and children and all those who have recently lost loved ones or battling illness. Would you draw near to each one of them, and would your presence be palpable in their lives? So we submit this day and this weekend to you, and thank you for this time. Thank you for Lily's documents that she sent over, and would you help us to be aware of our inner world and what narratives and agreements we may have made? And would you help us to align them with your kingdom and who you say we are? Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for your time. I'll wrap this up and see you next week. Anything that comes up in the meantime, jump in the Vital Mastery community and shoot some ideas over. But God bless you guys.